Come on, Johnny, cheer up, son.
You cannot be serious.
This is part one of You Can't Hear Me, can't you? All I can see, you're a metre away from me, I can hear you. Hey? Have you got headphones?
That's better. That's it.
Yeah, good. We're on the eve of the Australian Open, which is the big...
It started
No,
already.
it's already started, Johnny.
Well, I'm saying we're on the eve of a fortnight.
Well, you're wrong.
Were you wrong?
Well, give us the latest results from yesterday.
Ash Barty won last night.
Yeah.
Did you see that,
Djokovic
Michael?
won. Yep.
Well, we're on the eve
Federer.
of it because we just start talking about it for the first time.
Just concede sometimes that you get it wrong.
Like swath. Now, anyhow,
Or sloth.
so we are...
Are you in a better mood, John, before we go on?
Robo, be quiet. We are in part one and part two. Wait till I tell you who the guest coming in for part two is. This person will be coming in and we'll be doing part two, but this person is not here yet. So I've just wanted to run this by you. This is some music that we might change.
Oh,
Gee.
You would probably think Billy Thorpe sings this, but tell me who you think sings this. You might be interested, you might not be.
somewhere over the rainbow.
Eh? So, no, just tell me who you think sings this and then
Poison
sing
Ivy?
along with it. No, close. Have a listen.
You think I'm crazy? That's Billy Thorpe. Remember how he used to jump from side to side on Bandstand?
Someday when you're not so pretty, someday when your hair's gone grey,
He can't sing a note, can
someday
he?
when you lose what you got now, someday
He thinks he's
you're
good.
gonna want me.
You're a shocking singer.
Someday he's
That'll
gonna
do.
come.
Thank you. That was his follow-up to Poison Ivy.
Well, as a matter of fact, you know who sings that? Shocked me as well. A bloke called, and I don't think it's the man we think it is, but a bloke called Tony Barber. Not the man who sang did the whistling
You
thing.
sure? Tony Barber was in the Aztecs with Billy
Oh,
Thorpe.
Donald.
Are you sure?
Well, look, it's got Someday by Tony Barber.
Yes. he might have written it.
He
you
might
think?
have. Don, I thought that was Billy Thorpe myself.
Yeah, I think Tony Barber might have written that.
All right, well, I'll get in touch with the Google machine and tell them they are wrong.
Well, you should have covered that. You're very, very good.
I don't. Bruce,
Someday when you're not so pretty.
Who actually told you that you could sing?
No one told me I could sing.
Didn't you cut a record?
Well, do you want me to play you a track?
No,
out?
no.
we're right, thank you. Thank you.
You listen to this. Bring up a topic to speak about. Could I tell you one thing? These are things that have staggered me over the week. This staggered me. Now have a listen to this. The results of a protest are just in about the Sydney to Hobart yacht race in a, listen to this, in a Category 3 race, not the main race where the big guns, but in the bottom categories. And one of the boats protested against the boat that they eventually beat because they said they were, listen to this, cut off at the start of the race. This is in Sydney Harbour. So when they went to tack to get onto a course to go out of Sydney Harbour, the other yacht cut them off. So they got 3 days to make up that little... How could you get cut off at the start and protest that might have stopped you winning the race?
But how
for the
could it
timing?
take 4 weeks to
Oh,
decide?
because they've gone backwards and forwards and examined footage. It's a bit like the bloke who tried to break the Melbourne to Hobart, Melbourne to Perth swim and back again. Melbourne to Perth and then...
a swim?
yeah, and he
No,
nearly...
it's a swim from Melbourne to Perth.
and then back again, and he nearly broke the record, except they reckon he stuffed up the tumble turn at the Perth end. Isn't it?
He kept going to Africa.
What if you keep going from Perth? What's
To
the
Africa.
Is it?
if you keep going from Perth,
Double turned to Africa. Madagascar.
speaking of the microphone,
Yeah, speaking
Don,
of the
please.
microphone, Donald.
Don,
Oh, Johnny.
if you go keep going west from Perth, what is the first landmass you hit?
Madagascar.
Correct.
Is it?
Now, yeah, it is. So that's the first thing. Could you believe that the protest has just come in and been dismissed that they were cut off at the start? Secondly, a bloke has sued a website in America called Pornhub. This is a deaf man who has sued Pornhub. He said because the porno movies he's watching on Pornhub, they don't have subtitles on them. And he's deaf, and he's sued them.
You've got too much spare time.
Do you think... Yep. So my question is, if you are deaf and watching porno movies, what would you need the sound up for, and what would they be saying?
Oh, a lot of things. Yes.
I'm going, I'm coming.
Easy.
What
Yes.
would
Easy.
they say? Oh, you've got a marvellous bunch there. Or look at your breasts. Oh, look at the size of those. Aren't they? They're peaches. What would you need subtitles for a porno movie for?
I've no idea.
Well, that's Mansoor.
Have you got any porn movies?
A big pun? What'd you say?
You heard that.
No, I didn't.
Do you have any porn movies?
Do I have any?
Yeah.
What that I've made myself?
I can't believe this.
You got the Andrew Purser one?
Yeah. No, I did. If you get your iPhone and put it on video and then turn it around, so that you're filming yourself, you can do it yourself. If your arm's long enough to get outside how long your dick is, you're going to have long arms, Mick, and you'll have to have it on a very wide lens. Because have you ever been filmed in a sexual situation, Don?
No, I haven't, Johnny. No.
Have you ever filmed yourself in a sexual, having a lend to yourself?
You been in any sexual situations of recent times?
Yeah, recent. This century.
No, I haven't, Michael. No. I'm just thinking about what aftermath there was of the chlamydia. No, there was nothing.
The koala's not all that well, apparently.
So that's the second thing that staggered me. And the third thing I just heard, this is coming in, I just heard the fattest people in Victoria live in Melton. Melton.
Why?
They said this, they've done a survey. Why would you do a survey about that?
Well,
they said the people with the biggest girth per capita of the population of any town or collection of people live in Melton.
They might go there because they think they'll melt.
They're a bunch of porkers out there. Why would you do a survey about that?
Well, because they're interested. The authorities should be aware of where the obesity centres are.
Why should they be aware?
To make the community a bit healthier.
Why do I say close down all the
thing? They should do it themselves.
I know they should, Donald.
I think that if that's the case, they might be very lazy and just have takeaway food. They do not
talking to the microphone.
I'm trying to, as well as look at you.
You don't have to look at him, Don.
No,
you just have to speak. Look at the microphone. Be a good start. And you would be.
I got a letter from Mount Gambier too.
No, it's in the Trump category though.
So why would you do a study on how fat people are in which suburb? They said
you serious? Let's be serious about it. Should we not know about the health profile of the community?
Of course.
Okay. Isn't that what we're doing?
No, we're just saying generally the world or the community is fat.
Yep.
And obese.
Correct.
And they have actually singled it down to Melton.
It's not the only place in the world that's got fat people.
They have singled it down as the fattest place in Victoria where the most number of fat and obese people are in Melton.
Yeah.
If you were a Melton resident, wouldn't you take umbrage at that?
Well, not if it's true.
Well, they said it's true. They did a survey on it.
So wouldn't say whatever the Melton local government is, the Shire or council or whatever, would they then not sort of say, well, look, maybe we need to put some parks in or blow up a few KFC shops or something?
Have plenty of parks, they might do that.
So this is like saying, have a news flash when it's raining, say, could motorists have been advised to slow down because it's inclement weather? How dumb do you have to get people before you tell them how to live their lives?
Talking about that, I drove with you yesterday in inclement weather.
Yes.
How were you with people who decided to pass us?
Yep.
You wanted them exterminated. You wanted to catch them and blow them up, didn't you?
Okay, Mick. So we're driving down they've got the section of where they're building the tunnel on the Westgate Freeway down to 80 kilometres an hour, and it is absolutely persistently raining. It is. You can't see out the
I was with you.
I'm telling the...
And I asked you to put your wipers on. You said no.
I'm telling the listener.
Did you put your wipers on?
I'm telling... Of course I put my wipers...
Did you really?
When I couldn't see out the windscreen, I put the wipers on. I did. So, is this true, Mick? So this Pantechnicon, this lorry taking a container, a 40-foot container, went past us in an 80 zone in teeming rain on the outside lane, because you said they're not allowed to drive in the outside lane. He went past us, I reckon, at about 110, didn't he?
Well, that's a bit extravagant.
Okay, well, 100, certainly. And I said, would it be all right if I said this, Mick? I said, have a look at that fuckwit. Didn't I?
You did say that.
So you don't think you don't think you should get annoyed at that?
No. But
truck drivers are the greatest menace on the roads of all time.
But annoyance, I've learnt, it's no good getting annoyed on the road. You'd be annoyed every 20 metres.
I just said to you, have a look at that.
Yeah.
That is extraordinary.
Did you also say, I hope he jackknifes?
I said, you wait. No, I didn't say.
You didn't say that.
I said, what'll
Yes,
happen
he
is
couldn't have a conversation with you. There's nothing
No, I didn't.
Private.
Don.
There's more to come, Donald.
really. What on the trip
Don.
to the golf? What else?
When you have a 3-hour round trip with
Don.
someone,
Yeah, I know.
you discuss lots of
I
things.
didn't
and
say. I
and
didn't wish he.
Will you be quiet, please, John?
Well, I'm
listening to
correcting a
I'm
statement.
just listening to Michael.
And you learn lots of things about people, which I did yesterday.
What else did you learn?
Well, we had an interesting discussion, didn't we?
It's up to. I don't know.
Remember
What are you
told
about
me-
to say?
You told me you had a headache because of all those questions I was asking.
That's right. I'm driving.
But your
along.
conversation is questions, Michael. I've been out to dinner with you, and it's like a.
That's right. That was one of them. He said, I'm driving along, minding my own business, trying to negotiate the traffic and have truck drivers going past us at twice the speed limit, which I didn't say, I hope he jackknifed. I said, what'll happen is he'll brake behind that car because the car will see him coming up and well over the speed limit, and he'll brake and he'll jackknife. That's what'll happen.
That's
And
exactly what you said.
I didn't say, I hope he jackknifes.
No, I know that. I was just testing the water, that's
You were
all.
being hyperbolic.
Okay.
So we're driving along, Don. Have a listen. We're driving along. I'm trying to, put up with the traffic, and he
answer questions.
He said, Sammy. I said, yes, Mike. I don't know why he had to say Sammy because we're the only two in the car. I don't know who he thought he was speaking to. He said, Sammy. I said, yes, Mike. Who would you ask to dinner? What 10 friends would you ask to dinner? And I said, when are we having dinner? He said, no. He said, just hypothetically, what 10 people would you ask to dinner? And I thought, all right. So I tried to think, do I know 10 people I could ask to dinner? And I'm not sure if you were
Well,
in
10 would accept.
No, well, I could get one. I could get two.
Yeah, so this is why I got a headache. So we're driving along a bit further, and he said, "What was the other question?"
No, don't leave that yet. In fact, you embraced that question, and we
I did
wait a
because
sec.
I'm a captive audience, Mick. That's why.
And we talked about who they would be, and I guessed I think about 7 of them.
Yes.
Why don't we go through them
Well,
and offend a few of those that have been left off?
Well, I said you present company excluded.
Yes.
Because I don't want to say, I'd be asking
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
Mike.
yeah,
and
yeah.
you said, and I'd ask you too, Sam.
Well, I picked Lyon and Brayshaw and Warren is 3.
Yeah.
Kevin King,
Kevin
who would be,
King would be
draw number 1 at the
Was
at the table.
RoboCop in it?
No, because you said present company excluded. But not that he was there.
He wasn't
but-
in the car.
No, but like
You're-
us.
Mick, you're cerebrally challenged. You've become mad.
No, it was interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah. Did I have him in?
Who would you invite, Michael?
Well, I did that.
Okay.
I struggled to find 4.
I said this once I was asked this once before on
Give
the.
me your 4.
I was asked this once before on the radio.
John, I'm asking Michael a question.
I want to tell you this.
Yeah.
I was asked this once before. Now I want you to think about this, Donald. And I said, if I could ask theoretically some people who have been on this planet, who would you ask to dinner and why? And I said I'd ask Hitler,
That's right.
and the Jewish fraternity went berserk before I'd even finished the answer.
No, I'm with you on that.
I would ask, going berserk?
No. I
would
agree
ask-
with the principle of
Yes. The
the-
principle is to sit opposite that man
and ask him.
and say, what is going on in that brain of yours, mate? What are you on about? I'd be fascinated.
You also on that same score, he wanted to have Elvis, which I share his view about how good Elvis was as the entertainer. But after he sang "Suspicious Minds" or something like that, what would you talk to Elvis about?
Oh, well, what would you talk to anyone
Well,
about?
You just want to look at him, do you, across the dinner table?
Well, he went into the army. Colonel Tom Parker ripped him off. He married
Yes.
Marie Presley. He made films. He was a recording studio artist. He was high on drugs most of his life. He was the best-looking boy in the world until he got hold of him, and he lived a life. The only way he could get out in the public was to go out at 4 a.m. in the morning and walk the streets incognito. He couldn't go out. His life was a nightmare. What else? What do you mean?
He'd be perfect.
What else? What do you mean? What could you ask him about? Who did he meet? Who did he like?
What about the real 10? What about
10?
The 10 that you picked actual?
Yeah, well, but people don't know who they are listening to this.
Well, we do. I said there was Gary Lyon and James Brayshaw
yes.
and Shane Warne.
You said Caroline Wilson.
Kevin
You'd
King.
ask.
Yeah, I would ask her. Yeah,
Yeah,
because she's a friend of mine.
That's right. Of course. Why would you ask people you don't know?
True.
I tell you what, Don, are you?
You're
are you there?
rehashing yesterday's bus trip.
Anyhow,
It was a hard trip.
this is why I
But
got a
I've got to
headache.
thank you for the wrist support you gave me.
Oh, so we've moved on to go to your wrist.
Well, I'm just thanking him. I'm an appreciate. This is not the one that you had when you had your little incident, is it? The Peter Yeo incident?
John, please, you're like a dog with.
Well, it's made by Opal now. They're no, I don't think they're in existence
listening to this?
anymore.
It's just
Can we
gone
go
off
back
on a
to
complete tangent.
the road trip?
No, we're not going.
No,
back.
no, one of the
what
things
gave
you
me a
said-
headache is you asked question after question. Look at that land there. Would you like to own a
No,
property?
no,
on
no, I
that
didn't
land?
say
I was-
that. You know
Yes,
what you said, actually, and you did say, you said, now, Mick, that's another very interesting question. I need to think about that.
Because what do you think I'm going to say? Mate, don't speak shit to me. I'm driving.
Well, I asked you about what you'd like to do with the rest of your life, however
That's right.
short or long that'll be.
That's it. And I thought, crying, I had to think what I had to make up an answer. I thought,
No,
well,
you didn't.
it's-
That's bullshit. You wanted to be Johnny Carson and have your late night show that you were hosting, didn't you? And that was serious. And you're not going to do a book?
Why not?
Don, these
Why
are private conversations I have in a car, and suddenly we're canvassing. What about the questions you asked about some of the people I'd met and who I'd been familiar with?
We met one of them yesterday.
Yes,
after the golf
I
at-
wouldn't go on with
No,
that. Mick,
you wouldn't?
please. Well, because go on.
She was a very nice woman.
And what was the question you asked me about her? Which we won't be broadcasting here. No, seriously, that's what happens.
I just asked you your history with her, how long you'd known her.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. And then you got on to more
We're
intimate details about her.
We're at Barwon Heads Golf Club.
Yes, thank you, Mick.
Yeah. And how did you play yesterday, did you think?
Shocking. Lee,
Shockingly, yeah.
yes.
How did I play?
And pardon?
How did I play?
Well,
Is that all? Just well?
no, you were fantastic,
Thank you,
Mike. It was
John.
just a pleasure to see a man swing a club like you did. and so.
Yes.
I get this is how I get down to the golf course there at Barwon Heads, which is a public course, and a bloke springs out of the office and said, which I was just tucking my shirt in because I got out of the car. He said, "Sam, could you tuck your shirt in, please?" I said, "As a matter of fact, I had my hands just down in between my nether regions, pushing the actual shirt back into my pants." And I said, "I'm doing it at the minute, mate." He said, "Oh, good, thanks, good on you." Well, seriously, could you spring out of an office and tell someone to tuck their shirt in?
And then
at
you
the
parked
public-
illegally, so you just sort of said, well, I'll show them something to get upset about.
So here's a report.
So you two are just rehashing yesterday.
Yeah, no, we're
riveting.
finishing.
It is
No, it's-
riveting
it's not.
stuff.
It's
We had a good
boring.
day.
Very riveting.
It's boring, Don.
Exactly.
No, it's not.
It is.
I'm telling you why I got a headache, because of these inane questions you asked me in 2 hours there and 2 hours back.
Can we do it again?
What? The podcast of the trip.
So, Don,
Yes, Johnny.
I see here
Let's talk about your wrist bandage,
In
Don. That'll liven things up a bit.
it says there's added security at the Australian Open tennis tournament in case there's some, this was in inverted commas, hostile vehicle activity. That is, people getting in a car and trying to mow the crowd down. So they put extra, that's what that means.
The bollards.
The bollard. They
Yeah.
put extra bollards in case there's hostile vehicle activity. My question is, if there is hostile vehicle activity, would the police be given open slather to shoot dead the driver on the spot? Or would they have to surround him and ask him to surrender and put him in the back of a wagon and take him to court and get some judicial people who are
You've made your point. I think, given in the wake of the Gargula situation, I think that they would be almost given the right to
walk up
to shoot.
the car window
Every-
and shoot him dead in the head.
Every situation's a little bit different. The
I know, but-
Gargulis one, he advertised what he was going to do for quite a while. Every situation's different. I didn't think vehicles would be able to get close to the tennis centre anyway.
Because they're
of the
putting
crowds.
bollards there. Because of the crowds, that's what gets them close. The people see the crowds and they drive the cars at them.
I understand, but the cars would be kept well away from that precinct, I should imagine. Why? Yeah.
Why? What we can
I was just going to say, why would you even go near it? But then again, if you've got a specific reason to go down there to do that, yes, you'd do it. I wouldn't go near the
Well, what? Why would people drive cars at people going to the tennis? You serious?
Why would you drive a car?
Because
to go
you're a
to the tennis?
jihadist. Because you're a
You'd
terrorist.
catch the train if you were going to the tennis. You wouldn't drive.
Once you get out of the train, Donald, you got to walk into the
Exactly,
state.
walk.
The train doesn't actually take you to your seat, and you get out, and there you are on centre court. You got to walk from the platform to the tennis centre, and there's thousands of people, and people in cars drive. That's what happens. And
Did
they
you
put-
watch any of it?
what-
The tennis?
No,
No interest?
not yet.
No.
Not yet. So shooting them dead on the spot and ask questions later?
Well, they were embarrassed because they hadn't acted on what they knew in the Gargulis situation, were they not? Donald, is that right? Yeah. So wouldn't they be more inclined now?
I don't think with the Gargulis thing, it was completely different. He antagonised and terrorised around doing wheelies or donuts in front of Flinders Street Station.
He did.
Well, that should have been brought to a halt there.
No, Don, if you had free license to go and shoot him on the spot when he started doing it, it wouldn't have gone on. But because in this day and age
Woke
where
society.
and political correctness and everyone's entitled to a defence and all that sort of stuff, people don't act on impulse because they're not allowed to. So I see Tom Campbell. Do you know who he is? Tom Campbell. He's the footballer.
The Bulldog bloke, is he?
I think he's a Bulldog bloke.
The
He said
ruckman.
Well, anyhow, he was interviewed. Now he said we must stamp out homosexual taunts. Was it homosexual taunts? Homosexual taunts. You know, a la the bloke saying he was a faggot last week, which is fine and very fine that he says that. No problem with that. If that's, we did say gender or sex or sexuality and race are off limits, although Don said, no, everything goes, until we said, no, you can't say that, Don. He said, no, well, all you can. He said, so here's my question. Now, tell me if you think this is homophobic. Now, this is a legitimate question. I'm watching a Netflix series, and it starts off, and then the male, leaves the office and he goes home. He said, I'm going home to my partner, person I'm married to, I'm going home. And you think, oh, that's good. So he gets home and the person he's married to is a man, which is fine. And he kisses him, hello and all that. And they sit down and have a wine and glass. And the next minute they get a bit amorous and they get into bed. At that stage, I actually turned it off because, now tell me if you think that's homophobic. I don't want to watch two men doing that.
That's not homophobic.
So, but you will be classed as, I don't want to watch that. Now, is that all right if I don't want to watch that? I don't care if they do it, but I just don't want to watch it.
Yes,
so
I
I
agree.
turned the series off and I won't watch it again.
Yeah.
But I don't like seeing animals get killed, and I can turn that off. So what's the difference?
I'm saying
You're exercising your free choice about what you want to watch on the big screen.
Mick, what I'm trying to
So what are we talking about?
I
That's
tell you
his
what.
question.
I tell you what
Well,
I'm
it's
talking
a
about, Don.
ridiculous question, isn't it?
Is it? So I'm saying people would brand me as homophobic.
No, they wouldn't.
They would.
Why?
How do you know?
Because they, I bet you they
You have
would.
your choice to get up and walk out in a
Yeah.
theatre. If you don't
Yeah.
like that particular show, you walk out or go
I
to sleep.
didn't like the fact that
We-
two men
Yes.
were
Okay,
the
I agree
lead
with you. So what-
romantic romantic
Okay, I
roles.
agree with you. So what do you want?
I just want to say, people would say, "Oh, well,
No,
you're."
they
well,
wouldn't.
No, we don't think they
telling-
would.
Well,
No.
they would.
Well, I agree with you.
With who?
Yeah, I find it very uncomfortable.
Which bit?
Well, the two men getting into bed kissing one another. I mean,
Okay, so you would say, so people would say in this enlightened day and age, get over it, Don. You got to move into the new world.
No,
They're
but you don't have to. No, you don't have to
minorities.
live in that world, though.
No.
And you don't. If you went out on the streets and actively campaigned against it, then it's a different
And
issue.
there's more and more shows that is creeping into more and more shows because people now who are advocates for this run the theatres and run the movie production houses and want to try
you've
and
got your
make
choice.
out that it is more common, and it is more common, and it's quite all right to do it and no worry about whether people
It is
take
your
offence
choice
to it or
whether
don't
you
want
want to watch it,
and
John,
it's
or
just
not.
creeping in, and they're just pushing the agenda onto you so that it makes you feel uncomfortable if you don't like that.
they're putting it up there, and it is
No,
your
don't
choice.
look at me like that. I see Qantas. Have you got any subject at all?
Well, I have got a couple, but it's very,
gonna
very
talk about-
difficult to get them in when you
see
start.
all right,
When you're
well,
on a
You're going to
roll.
talk about Qantas and Alan Joyce, are you?
Well,
Well, this
Again.
you're besotted by this issue.
apropos to our conversation last week about the dog, Frank,
Yeah.
who died in 39-degree heat, Qantas have now banned certain types of dogs, pug dogs.
Snub-nosed, yeah?
Snub-nosed.
That's what they. Yeah.
Well, they're pugs, I think, Mick.
Well, there's a group of them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pugs, I think.
come
I
under the
don't-
heading of snub-nosed.
Oh, I think they come
Why
under
were
the
these
heading.
dogs bred? Do you know?
No idea, Donald. Sam
think
and I
they
aren't
were-
I'll
big on
just finish the
dogs.
Qantas analogy first, Doug.
No, we're getting onto the breeding of the dogs, the bulldogs.
Yeah.
I think they were used for bringing down bulls, weren't they?
That's,
Hence the
your, that's your
name.
area, mate.
Hence the name, Don.
Bulldog.
Bulldogs.
Yeah, but there's boxers and there's
Well, they're brought down. They can bring down boxes.
boxers.
Why have boxers got short tails? To let other boxers in the ring. Now, Don.
What is
Don.
on?
Don.
What?
Don. So Qantas have banned pug dogs from flying because Frank, who was a pug, died not in the plane but in a crate out on the tarmac in 39-degree heat. So Mr. Joyce, I'm not sure which one of them, but one of the Mr. Joyces has
I
decided.
knew you'd say that.
Well,
You were
has decided.
It's 21 to 1 on.
But pugs have got a breathing problem. So
Would
did
you
he
ask
have-
Mr. Joyce? Now, here's a question.
Which Mr. Joyce?
That's my question. If you were at a dinner party and you had Gary Lyon and James and all the people, Caroline was, would you ask Mr. who's the head of a very big
Yes, yeah.
global
We know who he is.
global airline, Australian,
Yes.
Qantas, would you ask Mr. Joyce to dinner?
Why? Why? I'm not a friend of his.
But he's a captain of one of them's a captain.
We could
of
have a
industry.
Mr.
One of the
Joyce
Mr.
each.
One of the Mr. Joyces is a captain of industry, and we could ask him about how Qantas and how he's a foreigner, isn't he?
He's an Irishman.
That's right, Irishman. He's he's an Irishman. How did he get out here to?
He flew.
How did he come to be?
Oh, this is
how did he come to be head of Qantas? And where did he meet his husband?
Oh,
Where did he meet him?
You've got to.
Well, what's wrong with that, Mick?
You're
Where did
obsessed about
you
it.
meet the last girl you went out with? I tell you where, you met her at the newsagent.
No, Port baked at Portsea.
You met her at the newsagent. You said, "Could I have the Herald Sun, please? And would you like to come out to a film with me?" And she said, "I beg your pardon."
How do you remember all that?
Well, I've got a
That's
memory.
true.
I know it's true.
Yeah.
What do you mean? How do I remember it? Because actually, my mind is still ticking over, Mick. It hasn't lapsed into senility yet. So that's how you met your partner, and
But it's
Mr.
not
Joyce
a
met his.
partner.
What?
It's just hardly my partner.
Well, she was for about a minute of your life until you tipped her over when you got her back to your house.
Donald, did you have a question?
Yeah, I did, but I
so-
don't think it'll rank with
Oh,
any
so
of
I
this
should
trivia
say that's
that you
something
two
you
are
told me
going
in
on.
private, like the car conversation, Mick. I shouldn't bring that up. So I was interested to know where Mr. Joyce met his husband. And what's wrong with that? What is wrong with that?
You are homophobic. All your questions are laced with this issue of
Well,
sexuality.
yeah, it intrigues me. It does. I'm not. It's like tattoos. They intrigue me.
Can we change?
I'm not
it?
knocking it.
Can we
Go on.
change? Thank you. Watched a documentary the other day on the Seekers.
Yeah.
They were
Don't say they were
they're
a big
under
group.
very what?
Don't say they were a big group.
They were, but they were very, very good. And they had a song, We Are Australian.
I love that song.
Exactly, and I think it could be adopted, or should be adopted.
Donald, we are as one.
And what I would like to see, Michael,
We are
at the grand final.
Yep.
If the lyrics were put on
Couldn't
every
agree
seat,
more.
if they were put on every seat
Yep.
at the grand final,
Put on the
and
big screen.
Oh, well, there you go. That
Yeah.
saves a lot of printing.
Yeah.
And we all got up and sang that song. I think
Serious, I'm totally... And at my funeral, which could be anywhere between 10 minutes and 10 years, that's going to be the farewell song.
yeah.
I love that. When they play the extended version on on the ABC, Sam,
Yeah, I only got you.
it's what is the bloke we can't mention?
Rod Law.
Why are you grimacing about that? It's a brilliant anthem, isn't it?
It is. It really does appeal to me, and I think it really does sum up our society.
What's he saying?
Oh, I don't know. Don't worry about him. He hasn't got a microphone, so don't worry about
Are
him.
you all right over there, John?
He's Googling something
I'm
very rude.
I'm trying to find the song, but it's not on there.
I am, you are, we are Australians.
It's
Australians.
not on there.
And I think it's very appropriate for Day.
Bruce Woodley wrote that, didn't he?
No, yes, he did. Yes, he did. Bruce Woodley wrote it. Yes, I was thinking of Keith Pocket. No, Bruce Woodley.
And it's going to become topical because Australia Day is coming up. And do you know what's going to happen when Australia Day finally arrives?
Yeah.
They're going to go through the whole thing again. Why is
Half
Australia...
the country will say we shouldn't have it.
and why? And the Indigenous people are going to say...
And
incidentally,
I think they've got a real case, the Indigenous people.
They do, Donald. When do the Indigenous people want to celebrate Australia Day? I've just not been able to discern that.
I don't think they want...
They don't want to celebrate
I don't
anything.
think they want to celebrate Australia Day.
But I think we should have some means of celebration.
Yes.
But I can understand them if you're in their position.
See, exactly. See, they're saying why celebrate an event of 200 odd years when they've been here for 40,000 years?
Now, I want...
and we're really only
that's
getting
right,
on the
but
bandwagon.
So they don't want to celebrate the country that they inhabited first at all.
They call it Invasion Day.
I
do they
know
not?
that, Mick, but so they don't have an alternative date to celebrate us all living together as Australians, black or white. They just don't want to acknowledge anything. Is that right?
I don't know.
That's not being
But,
provocative, that
we
question.
didn't have
It's genuine.
Boys, we didn't have Australian Day when we were growing up, and I think they've done a
Didn't
bit
we?
of a take on American Independence Day.
Did we not have Australia Day when we were young?
Was
You
not
sure?
celebrated the way it is now. It might have been Australia
So
Day when
maybe
we
it's
just
showing
gave it
that we're patriots.
scant regard, and we just got on with life. But now they celebrate it, and I don't think you need to.
Don, I want you to, you can say it before I even say this, say that you're a smart ass, but I tell you what, mate, I'm leading the pack with what's going on in this community.
A lot of things you are. I agree
I
with
did
you.
say that Sisto would have
Yes, you did.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
We know all that.
Okay.
It was
I
last
did
week.
say,
What else
I
have you
did
done?
say that fireworks would not be
Should be banned.
Yep.
And did you notice that there is no fireworks for the Australia Day
Yeah.
celebration?
Yeah,
well,
They
weren't-
no,
weren't
no,
we
are
all
now
agreed
going to
on
be
that?
lasers.
Weren't we all agreed
Well,
on
there
that?
were fireworks up until this Australia
Yeah,
Day.
because of the bushfires.
No,
It was not because of that.
I don't believe it is.
Really?
What? Why was the
What else you-
fireworks are
Well,
not
I
going to.
think-
The fireworks aren't going to start the bushfires.
No, but I think that's the symbolism of sort of celebrating fireworks when the whole country's getting burnt down.
I don't think that's
You don't
right.
think that's
Well,
right?
it was
What
so-
about you, Donald?
I think it's the cost of the fireworks.
and
Well, it's
the
never worried them before.
I know, but I think
and the
it may
fact
be
that
starting
it's
to.
almost an anachronism, the
Yeah.
fireworks, and
Yeah.
they're going to move to the new millennium and put lasers and put images on the buildings and make it more
Okay,
interesting.
so what we know all these. We've patted you on the back. So what else
Yeah.
are you predicting?
Yes, whatever else am I predicting?
While he's thinking about that,
Yes, good.
Donald, you watched a bit of the tennis yesterday. The Greek player Tsitsipas, I think his surname is,
I didn't watch his game. I
has
watched it.
criticised the behaviour of actually his Greek fraternity about the lack of taste, as it were, yelling and chanting at the tennis all
Yep.
the time.
But they did.
Do you
that
like the
bit-
behaviour at the tennis? Do you
Yeah,
like
I
the
think
crowd-
as long as it can go on until they serve. But the Greeks got terrific support for. Now I've forgotten his name. The other Greek that did very well.
Baghdadis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now they got behind him too, and they were very vocal when he was doing well.
But even as an Australian, yesterday I watched the Barty game. last night, and she played a woman from the Ukraine. Mm-hmm. My memory when I was young was that we applauded the shots on merit, whether they were played by an Aussie or by the opposition. I know it's a big deal. She wouldn't care, the Ukrainian girl, but I thought it's pretty poor that we only acknowledge.
But even the commentators are saying about various tennis players getting the crowd on side. Now the crowd's behind them, and they seem to get a bit of a roll on.
Just my opinion, but this is similar to Patrick Reed at the President's Cup. People shouting out at him and making snide and sly comments about the fact that they thought he
different
cheated.
Reason though.
Well, but
yes, it is. I mean, he was accused of being a cheat.
So give him the respect. He comes out here to play. He says he didn't do it purposely, and people said, well, it was obvious he did. So why just go on about it?
No, but that's different to
like the
neutral girl, the girl from the Ukraine.
I agree, Mick. I agree. It's like
but they're not criticising
like
the girl
Aussies
from Ukraine,
at the cricket
Mick.
and
they're behind.
what's they called
the jingoism.
What they have those? They paint their face yellow and green, and what are they called? They're called
the fanatics, aren't they?
Fanatics, and what are the English people called that go around the
Barmy
thing?
Army?
The Barmy Army. They are nothing more than they're
showing off, aren't they?
Preening exhibitionists trying to get their head on the television, thinking, "Oh, look at us, aren't we patriotic?" Yet pain in the arse, all of you, shouting out at the tennis and just stopping a microsecond before someone serves. It is annoying and it's a pain in the arse. As something akin to Greta. She's a pain in the arse.
So back to climate change.
Yeah,
we're all the way from the tennis centre to climate change.
People preening and being exhibitionists.
It adds a bit of colour to the tennis.
Bullshit.
As long as they can retain or refrain.
The Greek guy was criticising his own people for the level of support and said it was over the top.
Oh, well.
I'm with him. They're just blokes showing off, getting on telly.
Now, I want to brace yourself for this. Bill Ferg at the Lobster Cave. We are running a competition, Don. We are running a competition.
You are or we are?
We are running it on behalf of the Lobster Cave, that people can now apply to come and have lunch or dinner with you, Don, Mick, and me at the Lobster Cave. And in 150 words or less, you've got to say why you'd like to come and join us. And we are taking them to the Lobster Cave for 6 people. And this is what you can get at the Lobster Cave. You can get Bill's bugs, you can get
headset,
horses' duvers, you can get his groper and cods, you can get everything that Bill's ever caught in the ocean. And you apply. I can't tell you how you apply to be in the competition because I don't think the website's up and running yet, is it, Jack? Well, it might be up and running, but you apply to it by going to the website of, I can't even find it. Where is it? Smart as Sam Facebook. You type that in and there's a link into the Lobster Cave and you can register and 6 people can come along and have lunch or dinner with us 3.
And we'll regale them with all our stories.
You can regale them again. They can.
You can ask them questions, Michael. I'll sit and listen and John can entertain them.
And they can come and see if Don actually does look like RoboCop. And Bill said he'd come in he was going to, they're building a special contraption so Bill can stand erect now. Because his leg's gone, he's missing a leg, and his back has been put out. He got whiplashed by a large octopus who got one of his, what do you call those?
Limbs?
No, not cause.
Tentacles?
Tentacles. As Jack said, his arms reach up like giant testicles. Tentacle whiplashed Bill's back and he's in traction. So he's coming in a machine that they're building at the minute. No, it's more complicated than that. It's a motorised walking frame, Don. And he'll be in there to speak to people about...
What, does he balance on the one leg?
No, the frame makes him stand upright. It's an orthopedic device that's been developed especially for Bill.
How does he drive it?
When are we doing this, Sam?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. The competition ends on the 10th of March, and you go to, give me that website again, Jack. It's my Facebook, Smart as Sam, and you go to that, and there's a link that automatically goes to the Lobster Cave, and we're 6 people, and I'll tell you, it is a piscatorial crustacean delight of food.
Piscatorial.
Piscat-
Would that be pescatorial?
Piscatorial?
Would it?
I think it's
I
piscatorial.
think it might
isn't
be
it?
PE.
Well, you're
mightn't it?
very good at it. You've
So this
memorised
is
the
so
Oxford
this
Dictionary.
is what you get. This is what you will get. You will get wild seafood scallops, St Helens oysters. Now, do you know St Helen?
No, I don't.
Well,
No,
she's got
Patron
the best
saint of
oysters.
what?
Austria caviar, lobster cocktail, salmon roe, crisp lobster wafer. It's extraordinary stuff, Don. And normally it sells for $269, but a head. But if the six of you will get it for nothing, if you join the competition and say in 150 words or less why they'd like to be in our company. Now, can you do better than that?
No.
And Bill will be there. Bill will be there. Bill Ferg himself. Bill Ferganoitis.
It's,
Do you know that's his name?
Is it?
No,
Is he Greek?
I reckon he's Greek, yeah. William Ferganoitis, and he's cut it down to Ferg. I mean, you couldn't say Ferganoitis Lobster Cave. It's Bill Ferg's Lobster Cave. Bill,
Piscatorial.
is it? How do you spell it?
You're correct.
Piscatorial. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
See how easy it is to concede?
Oh, only because I was right.
Well, this time you were.
What's the point of not conceding if you're wrong? So that's how you do it. So that's what's happening. And we've got a special guest coming in later.
Today?
Part 2 of this.
Is he going to turn up?
Well, why wouldn't he turn up?
Well, he was supposed to arrive a little earlier, but he didn't.
Well, no
turn
one
up.
knew that, Don, until you said that.
Well,
that's
just
something. That's something we discuss off air. And there's no point
Yes,
bringing that
Donald.
up because you've made out that he's slack now, that he hasn't turned up and he was late and he didn't remember it.
What's happening in your life, Donald?
Yeah, come
Well,
on.
I've got a bit of a problem. I was wondering whether you two could help me.
What is it? As long as it's not manual labour.
Johnny, you've got a fair complexion, but how do you get your legs so brown with shorts on? I'd like to wear shorts.
That's how you
That's
get
a
them.
problem, is it, for you?
Yeah, it is.
That's how you get them brown, Don, by
What?
wearing shorts in the summer.
But
that
you've got
will
a fair complexion and your legs are brown. Are you using something to get them brown?
Oh, I see. That's the hidden
That's
question,
what I was
is it?
just trying
Am
to
I
get
using
at.
a
Because
tanning?
I've been wearing shorts and the legs are still white.
Well,
How are you
might
going, Michael,
might
with
be
your
anemic.
legs?
You're too skinny. Your legs are too skinny to get any sun.
The sun, it just flashes by, does it?
It does.
You're anemic, Don, and you've got a.
Have you seen his red shoes and red pants?
We're on TV too, Michael.
I declared them red. I could work out what
What's
that meant.
anemia mean, Don? When you're anemic, what have
Well,
you?
isn't there something lacking in the bloodstream?
Yes,
Yes.
what?
Iron?
Good boy, Donald.
No,
No, he's
yeah,
It's iron.
it's an overabundance of white corpuscles, isn't it?
Because you lack iron.
Well, that's an overabundance of white. Or
Oh,
a lack
is it
of,
really?
yeah, that's
It's
what
because
anemia
you lack
is.
iron.
Iron? No, it's red and white corpuscles is what makes up your body.
Jeez, I can't believe.
I thought it was iron too, Michael.
Well, iron might be red corpuscle, but that's what it is. Anemia is an overabundance of white corpuscles or a lack of red corpuscles. That's what anemia is, and you've got it, Don.
What have you got, Michael?
Anemia is a decrease in the total amount of red blood cells
Oh, Jesus.
or hemoglobin in the blood or lowered ability of the blood to carry
Keep going.
oxygen.
We've got to find iron.
When anemia comes on slowly, the symptoms are often vague. No one,
Iron.
Sam knows about this, and may include feeling tired, weakness, shortness of breath, blah, blah, blah.
So, Don, what did I
Hang
say?
on, he hasn't finished.
Michael-
There's got to be something about iron, Michael.
Anemia
Quick.
must be seen before a person becomes noticeably pale.
Okay.
yeah.
What did I say anemia was?
Oh, no, you were right again
Right.
because you're right about everything.
Now,
There's not
can
one
I-
thing in your life that you've been wrong about.
Can I ask you this?
May I ask you this?
Or may I ask you this?
Yes.
Last week, you cited...
What are you going to say now?
Well, having a discussion with you. I'm not arguing with you. I'm giving you a different point of view.
Yep.
Last week, you said, do I disagree with the CSIRO about climate change because they are leading the pack on all this? And I said, well, the CSIRO tend to slant their position on climate change because they're a government authority and they get given funds and they'll be doing themselves out of a job if they actually say it's not really that important. So that's what I said.
Which is an affront to the people in the CSIRO.
It would be, of course, but it doesn't mean to say that because it's
so
an
they'll
affront,
come up with scientific explanations that suit the budget, will they?
In many instances, yes, I believe.
I can't believe someone semi-intelligent can say that.
Well, so I'm
this eminent scientific body.
I'm about to give you an example of why I said that. So the Garneau Climate Change Report, are you familiar with it?
Yep.
It was on your favourite station, the ABC, and it was CSIRO endorsed. And this is what a finding said about the Garneau Climate Change Report. It said there is a disagreement among climate models, and it said increased cyclone activity and long-lived heat wave periods cannot be directly attributed to climate change. So they are saying that just because the forest and Australia is on fire, that doesn't necessarily mean that can be attributed to climate change. There are a whole lot of different factors, and the main factor is that when it is devastated and burnt down 2,000 houses and there's 1 billion animals have been destroyed, the very fact that we are in an urban sprawl and build satellite cities out and out and out into where forest just used to be the main part of the land, but now there's housing estates and housing resorts. Of course, if a fire goes through those places, there's going to be devastation unheard of because of the urban sprawl. That's what they are saying. It cannot necessarily be attributed to heat wave conditions or cyclones.
Have you got any idea what he was talking about?
No, I really don't, but I just wish the authorities would look at control burning.
Well,
listen, John, you go on with this all the time, and there's a practical thing, and we're talking about the fires. If they just get back to control
population.
Well, I said to you weeks and weeks ago about limiting population.
I know.
And it didn't get much of a run, but
No,
that's
you
how
said
we
I don't remember you saying. What did you say?
Yes, he did.
I did. I mentioned it.
He said
weeks and
scant
weeks ago.
regard.
What, 2 kids per family?
At the most, and one.
At the most?
Yes.
Wow.
No, but immigration,
We've got to limit it,
and the
Mick.
people that come into the country quite legally, they move out into the outer suburbs and they build satellite cities and they build houses and they build.
But that's only in Australia. Population worldwide.
I'm sorry, Don, I was only talking about the bushfires in Australia. Yep, I'm sorry. Yep, I was. I wasn't talking about Uganda or the Seychelles Islands. I'm sure they have devastating fires, but I was just talking about where we lived on at this stage. And that's why there are devastating results of bushfires in Australia because of the urban spread and the population growth. Because it's more noticeable because houses get burnt down as opposed to there were no houses there 20 years ago.
Aren't the fires in forests?
Yes, and people are moving out into green areas now where there are fire risks, and that's what they are saying. It can't necessarily be attributed to climate change. This is your report.
I agree wholeheartedly with that, but we've still got to get back to control burning and looking after the environment better than what we have been doing so far. What's wrong, Michael? Exasperated.
Yeah, I am.
Why?
Well, he takes an entrenched position on everything.
Yeah, well, we know that.
I was giving you a counter example.
I had no idea what you were talking about there.
Well, mate, you've got to pay attention. And you couldn't understand what I was saying.
No.
The Garneau report said that you can not necessarily attribute the increased heat waves and cyclone activity to climate change.
Not necessarily attribute. So it could be responsible for 40% or 60% or 80%?
Not to the devastating effects that people like the CSIRO and those government bodies claim. They doctor, not the CSIRO necessarily, but they doctor the figures. By these agencies that are relying on government funds to be to exist.
No, that's an extraordinary statement.
It's a fact. This is what the people who disagree with your position say. You say every scientist in the world agrees that
No, I don't
climate
say that.
change.
No,
And I say no.
I
There's
say
a
the
diverse,
overwhelming majority.
and
of
I'm saying the overwhelming.
scientific
That's not the
fraternity.
overwhelming majority at all. There
Okay.
might be 60% of them do, and 40% of them don't.
But you and I shouldn't discuss this because
Why?
we're at polar opposites.
Mick, that show it meant if two relatively intelligent people can't have a discussion about something where we all to throw the toys out of the cot, I'm giving you a counter argument to the thing that you keep pushing, and it's quite all right to have a discussion about it. That's how we arrive at a consensus, isn't it? Don, of course, sits there like a mute and doesn't enter into it at all. He just says we got to have 2.5 kids each. Do you? What did you say?
Well, I've told you what I say, and until they at least attempt control burning and looking after the population, I don't think we'll move forward. That's my opinion, taking everything into account.
Why don't you want people to have more than 2 kids?
Because we're putting too much stress on this world.
Well, why wouldn't we stop bringing people into the country then?
Yes.
Well, those people are still coming from somewhere, aren't they?
But why? What if the issue is population?
Well, why the Australian
answer that
government,
question,
excuse
please, Don.
me, John, do you mind? The reason the Australian government is allowing immigration is to to
Stimulate
encourage,
the economy.
yes,
Yeah.
internal economy.
Yeah.
It's
So
false,
short term
it's
again.
false economics.
Yep. Short term. Wouldn't we be better producing our own people, like producing the people
Jobs for
of
the people
traditional
here.
Australia, rather than just
Australia, yes,
Importing
you're right, but
low-wage
Australians
labour.
also don't want to work. That's number one. They're looking for the easy way out, and a lot of jobs cannot be filled. And you create jobs, and Australians will not, so-called Caucasian Australians won't apply.
the bloke who says whose name we can't mention says that I'm racist with my comment.
Xenophobic.
Do you think I am?
Not at all, Mick. I wholeheartedly agree with you that we should look after the people in the country in the first place and see if we can get them a job rather than importing
But they
people.
don't want to work, John.
Well, then
They don't. We've become a decadent society.
Okay, well, that's a political decision where you cut out the entitlements and benefits that we give these people, and you actually coerce them into working.
You get no argument from me.
Well, that's all right.
You
That's
get
good.
no argument from me until we can get this back on and get a better
Sammy?
work ethic
Yes.
in this country.
The nameless one says I want an Aryan race.
Aryan.
Aryan race.
What is it? Aryan. Right.
You want an Aryan
That's what he
race?
said.
What,
He
all
says-
white people? Well, no, but that doesn't necessarily mean
what-
there's a hell of a lot of.
Yeah, but half the
that's not
country,
the point.
half the country at the moment was born overseas.
That's right.
We all come from overseas originally, our origins.
Thank you, Donald.
Yes, thank. No, but he's not saying you want to have a race of white people. There's a hell of a lot of mixed coloured people in this.
Don't raise your eyebrows
country.
at me, champ.
Just don't keep importing people from
Correct.
overseas when we can't sustain them with the infrastructure.
That's what-
Beautifully
Exactly right.
articulated, Johnny.
Well, but that's nothing to do with an Aryan race. There's plenty of people that are brown and black and different people that are born here. Just before we keep importing people just ad valorem or whatever that word is, ad valorem, what is it, ad nauseum?
Yeah, that's probably closer.
Just how about we see if we can look after and give services and benefits and entitlements to the people who are here and don't come over here looking for them.
You got one of those flags for him too?
No, I'm agreeing with Don about controlling birth.
Righto. Did you answer the question before about what's happening in your life? You still
No,
working
you,
with
no,
Tony
you didn't
Jewell?
ask me, but I'd like to know about your racehorse. We heard about it in the springtime, and I watched it down at Pakenham. David Hayes was training it, and he said he'd get up and win. That's going back months now. Now
That was
what's
Oaks Day.
That's exactly
It's-
right.
it's
What's
back in
happened?
work?
It's back in work. So
Yeah,
it went for a spell after Pakenham?
It did, because it nearly drowned there, and it'll be racing probably in within a month. But you'll be interested in this, Donald, talking about racehorses. Someone was on the telly last night, totally supportive of you. Oh, yeah, it was a bloke called Bryce Stanaway, a trainer, and he is clearly of your view about the horses race too early and are punished too much, and that's why they can't.
Bryce happens to get horses that have been tried by other people,
Yes.
and he runs them.
And they still run at 10.
Yes, exactly right.
Yeah.
But I think Bryce is different. Yeah, Bryce is.
He's
doing it
patient.
Well, I don't know, but he can pick up the
You don't
cheap
know.
ones. He cannot afford to buy the dear ones that are young, but he can pick up the older ones.
Okay.
And
Okay, well, now look, we've chatted about, I'm not sure if we've chatted about anything that interesting, but we've been interested in it, Mick.
Have we?
I've been interested in
I
it.
was
We
interested.
found out that a man who is deaf is suing Pornhub because of no subtitle. What is, incidentally, what's the most, I've asked you this before, what's the most sensitive part of your body when you're masturbating? No, well, it's a clinical question.
It's a clinical question.
What is the
isn't it?
most sensitive part of your body when you're masturbating?
I suppose it could be your brain.
No, to be your ears.
Your ears.
Yes, because you want to listen to see if someone's coming into the room.
Well, how do you know?
Well, but that's just what they say.
No,
it's like saying I never read health books. I hate to die from a misprint. Come on, Mick.
Okay.
We're winding this
No,
up now.
this is from Barney
Okay.
McCusker. I want to.
Well, Barney McCusker, go on,
no,
Don. He's been
no.
dying to do
No,
this. about
I've
Barney
we've
not
McCusker.
been dying.
Now, this is serious.
I'm serious, man.
When I was shut up before about what happened on the road trip
Yes, go
yesterday,
ahead.
what the book? Are you? I know Jeff Slattery's spoken to you about a book about your life.
Yes, him and about 50 other people.
I think at one point in the not too distant past, you were open to the idea, but now I get the impression that you're not.
Do you?
Yeah,
Why did I say I
because you
wouldn't?
said that.
Why did I say I wouldn't be doing
Well,
that?
I think your
mightn't be
view
doing
was that you don't want to unnecessarily damage friendships
Yes.
or relationships that you've had.
Yes.
There's not a commercial imperative for you because you've got plenty of cash.
Oh yeah, no, I'm loaded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
no, I'm fair dribbling with it.
I mean, unlike you, I would think it would be a bestseller. I reckon it would sell
Do you, Mick?
50 to 80,000 copies, but I don't think you'll do it.
Why have you got to pour the bucket on somebody, John? Why are you worried about that?
If it's the
so
truth,
if someone says, "What do you think of Don Scott?"
yeah.
To give us a snapshot of him, but I could say, what an extraordinarily affable and intelligent man who is just a bon vivant who goes around the country just spreading sunshine and lollipops to everyone he comes in contact with. Or I could tell him the real Don Scott. And you would say, "Hey, listen, I read that thing you said about me in the book. Where do you get off saying those fucking things about me?" And I'd say, and that's where it starts, Don.
Yeah.
And there's the end of a wonderful relationship because I happen to be honest about how austere and clinical and downright dogmatic and pig-headed you are.
Oh,
Yes.
So you don't think you need to? I'm not saying you do, but you don't think you need to leave a legacy of sorts, or that your story is
Leave a legacy.
no serious question.
Yeah, when I asked you about writing a book, you said, "Oh, no one would want to read."
No,
it.
but
I
I'm
said,
not.
"Well,
But that's not false modesty. I mean, I'm just being a journo. That's all. But you've been a
Mick,
footballer.
You got a
and-
room named after you at the AFL. You've been.
why
on,
have you got it? You've done enough things which are very, very interesting, and you don't have to pour a bucket. And other people have written
It's not pour a
autobiographies.
bucket.
No, it's be honest, Don. That's
It's being
the
honest.
issue. Yeah.
Yes, but other people have, had biographies
The
written
better
about
the
them,
book-
but that they haven't brought in their acquaintances.
They're-
The better the
friends.
book,
They're
the more-
autobiographies, Don.
The more dirt's in it.
Yep.
Oh,
That's for sex, drugs, and rock
reality.
and roll, Don. That's how it works. And autobiographies are probably the best books to be written about people. The ones that are not.
Well, because you
written-
write them yourself.
No, auto, you don't.
Yes, you do. Auto is yours. A biography is a story about you. An autobiography is the one that you pen.
Okay, well, someone who writes your biography, I
Yeah.
thought that was called an autobiography.
No, it's
all right,
your
all
own.
right.
First
I
person.
I will take that on advisement, Mick.
You're not prepared to concede yet?
I said I'll take that on advisement.
Okay.
Yeah. So any final thoughts, Don? Just give us. I know we're not on the eve of the Australian Open because that started yesterday. Who do you think will end up winning the Australian Open? Who cares, to be honest?
Yeah.
No.
Well, I think Djokovic will win it.
I'm interested in asking the guest who hasn't turned up yet what he thinks. I reckon Djokovic gets unders in terms of what his achievements have been, because it seems to me that people always talk about Federer and Nadal.
I'll tell you what drives me mad about Djokovic. He bounces the ball 24
does.
times
Yeah.
before he serves. 24.
What about Nadal pulls his undies out of his pants between every
Okay,
point?
but he.
Oh, not out of his pants, out of his bum.
Yep, he's got wedgie, Don.
Yeah.
And he
Pulls his
it-
shirt up, wipes his
It's
brow.
amazing what annoys some people. I've never
What
never
about-
seen Djokovic bounce the ball.
He does.
Well, it doesn't annoy me because I've never. And what did you say, Nadal?
You turn it
He
off.
does his underwear.
Yes, you must
No,
know
you
that.
don't- you haven't
That's
got
an
a television.
idio.
Yeah.
That's an
I don't.
idiosyncrasy of his. You must know that, Donald. You
know
never
who Nadal
noticed
is?
Djokovic bounce the ball.
No,
Or have you heard of Sharapova screaming? Have you heard of that?
I've listened to her.
Yeah, well, there you are. So he bounces the ball
Is she
so
in
many
the, is she in
times.
the Australia? Did she make the draw? Sharapova?
Yes, she got a
Did she
wild
qualify?
card.
Did she?
Or-
Yes, has she played yet? Mick, seeing as you're
Oh,
up
she
with all the
hasn't played.
I
results.
didn't say I was up with all the results.
Yes, you did. You said, it started yesterday. We're not on the eve
Well,
of
I'm
it.
sorry, but I didn't realise that was a
What about-
revelation.
what about-
Well,
talking
she's
about
got a
tennis
while.
players, what about your friend Garav?
Yeah, no, she's injured. Dasher, she's injured. Sam Stosur, first round exit.
Anyhow,
Sad, isn't it? You know, she was a US Open champion,
I did.
and I think a French Open finalist a couple of times.
I did. No, she's gone off the
Why
boil,
is it
Mick.
sad, Mick?
Well, I mean, I think she's the one. You know, sometimes we say people like of your ilk in football, you too, that you don't like to see the champions
And there's a
stay
whole-
too long.
And
I
the-
think she got a lot out of her body. She really did prepare herself physically.
Yeah, she's still doing that.
And the Williams...
And she does it very,
Williams
very well. And
go-
I think she's got as much out of herself as what
And
she
the Williams
possibly
girl, Donald, is trying to beat the Court girls' Grand Slam record of 20...
Court girl. She's 80.
I watched
the Court girl.
I watched
Well,
Margaret Court interviewed on TV with Rod Laver the other week on
Yeah.
the ABC. A very impressive lady. I haven't heard her interviewed before.
Do you agree with her sentiments about the
That's her, but
LBACTQ?
yes, they're her beliefs, and I'll go along and back her
But
in.
I'll
But
tell
she
you-
is a very strong woman, and she took the tennis authorities on when she was 17, travelling the world. In fact, she
That's right.
travelled the world by herself.
So-
practiced by herself, but the men took her under her.
Went
under
around with
their
Harry
wing.
Hopman.
Will you be quiet, please? And the men helped her get to where she was
Yeah.
because she was practicing with the men, wasn't practicing with the women because she was ostracised from the women's side of Australians tennis.
And I'm in her corner, generally speaking. Wait a sec. Stop shaking your head, will you?
That wasn't me shaking it.
No, sorry.
It's the man we can't
Yvonne
mention.
Corley was on this morning,
Lord.
and she articulated the issue from my point of view better
Corley or Court?
Goolagong.
than yeah. Corley. Anyway, so she said
Articulated what?
about how the stature of Margaret Court as a tennis player, and she said, I don't necessarily agree with all her views, but she's a great champion of this game.
Unbelievable when
And
you
I think
stop and
people-
think what she's done.
I think they've run into each other, the two issues. I think we should
Separate
remember
the issue,
Court
yes.
as the great player she was.
Exactly.
All right, now, Don, if I have a chat. One thing I wanted to say. So this is the dilemma. The centre court, the Rod Laver Arena is. So it holds, I think, about 12,000 people. They've had to block off a section of it now because there's a lot of people from Melton coming in, and they just will not physically fit into the stands. So the capacity with the Melton people coming in by bus and tram
So
and
they've
train.
got to pay twice the price for a
No,
ticket.
they've had to enlarge the seats. So
but
instead
they're
of the
taking up-
capacity being 12,000, I think it's about 7,000
Well, they
now
should be
because a
paid
lot of
twice.
Melton
They
people
should
are
pay
coming
for
in.
two
So
tickets, John.
are you allowed to be a fattest?
Fattest. Yeah, fattest. Well, I'm not a fattest.
Or
They
sexist, racist?
And they've had to get new carsies in, the crappers. They can't fit their asses on the old crapper. The whole thing has been turned upside down because Melton people are coming into the tennis.
Did you see this?
They're coming in cattle trucks, low loaders.
Freight trains.
Apparently, you
the
can show your
toilets.
home movies on some of their underpants. Go on, what?
The toilets at the tennis centre, have they? Something's happened to the.
He mentioned that weeks ago, didn't he?
What's oh, yeah,
That's another thing you got right, yeah.
no, gender neutral ones. Just go into any toilet that you feel comfortable with.
Well, there's something that came under the heading of female urinals.
Yeah, that's right. You got to squat over a urinal, and it's just aim it into a thing like a man does. No, that's true. Well, we're not
Is
making
it
that
true?
up. Yeah, that's
I don't-
true.
I'm amazed where he gets all this stuff from.
He
So,
reads the paper. He's
yeah,
a
yeah.
very, very learned
Yeah,
gent.
dribbling
It's in the-
pedophiles
well, I read the-
going into the and watching women squat over things and blokes watching you do it. I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't it? It's absolutely. Right, no, we're signing off now. What do we sign off with, Don?
Oh, Daddy Cool.
Yep.
What about
What?
giving?